Hey y'all! And welcome to the Sorry Not Sorry Generation podcast, where we bring you a not-so-healthy dose of humor and reality as we get our hands dirty with some serious nostalgia and question everything.
Let's dive in.
Hey y'all!
Hey losers!
It's Misty.
It's Ani. And guess what? Aaron's here today. Y'all finally get to see, well, at least not see, but hear the other half of the puzzle.
Oh, I'm a whole half?
Yeah, you're a whole half.
Because I think I'm like a 6. I think if you've heard them mention the name Aaron, that's me. That's all you get to know.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
You get to stick around for, and find out more about, the puzzle as we unravel who Aaron is. Such a mystery.
I wasn't aware there was a subplot to this episode.
Here's the thing, neither was I.
All
Guess
right.
what? I didn't know that was subplot either. I just kind of threw it in there.
All right. So this is works horror stories / possibly like a philosophy session of finding out who Aaron is as a person.
I fully intend to throw in a cliffhanger here.
Yes. The best kind
right.
of twist. Also, we will not be saying actual place names. So if you hear us, we'll give you a rundown. We're going to be calling places, one certain place, Castles and Poor People, the other place, Planetary Deer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first one is a bookstore. The second one is the cafe in a bookstore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look, chain bookstores almost don't exist anymore. It doesn't take that much to
It's
put
not
together,
it's not that hard of a puzzle to figure out, but just in case, we gave you the clues.
Yes.
We gave you all the answers. It's a cheat sheet.
2 + 2 does equal 4, and you can figure that out. So,
yes. And if you can't, well, then I'm sorry.
And we are doing this solely just because we don't want to get sued. So, just saying.
Just covering our tracks.
Y'all can figure it out. But yeah, so yeah, that's fair.
All right,
so to give a little bit of a backstory, pretty much every one of my stories will come from Castles and Poor People / Planetary Deer. But working there is how Ani and I met.
Yes.
And so her and I met working at the Planetary Deer inside the Castles and Poor People in Pennsylvania, which pretty much none of the weird stuff happened there.
No, it happened after we both moved away.
Yes, and all like 99% of my stories come from the one in Florida because
Florida.
Yeah.
A lot of my stories have nothing to do with Planetary Deer, but it's a New Orleans
fair
grade level of Planetary Deer.
That's fair. And when it comes to Florida, look, every meme you've ever seen about Florida is true.
Yeah, like, it's the state that makes the Europeans go, oh God, that country.
Pretty much. Like, in all honesty, like we have signs that say beware of bears on the beach. Our like our alligators because our bears actually go to the beach, for the record. They go to the beach.
The gators in Florida climb trees.
Yeah, they climb trees. They are actually predators that will sit in the trees and wait for the creatures to cross underneath them and jump onto them from the trees. Listen, that's fucked, okay? That's just fucked.
And that's like low level, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's low level.
That's the animals. That's not even... Like, that's not even the people. Like, the people are fucking crazy as hell. Like, every single news story or meme you've ever seen on the internet is just your average Floridian. Like, that is not a strange Floridian. Like, look, as I go through these stories, you will understand how fucking weird this state is. You come here at your own risk, okay? They should make you sign a waiver before you get on a plane to come here.
Even Disney can't control the gators.
No. Don't look. My only advice for ever coming to Florida, never get in a body of water.
Yeah, no.
Just don't. It doesn't matter if it's a pool. It doesn't matter if it's the ocean. It doesn't matter if don't get in a lake. Just don't. But like, it doesn't matter. We're also shark bite capital of the world, by the way. So like, do with that what you will. It doesn't matter if it's fresh water. It doesn't matter if it's salt water. Just don't get in the water.
Is the shark bite thing like because the higher per capita of stupid people, or because of the sharks? Like,
There's a shit ton of sharks off New Smyrna. It is the shark bite capital of the world, and they come in droves. And you, like, there's a statistic or something that says that if you've been ankle deep in water, you've probably in New Smyrna, you've probably been within 4 feet of a shark. So
Yeah, that's why it sounds familiar. That's the one you were telling me that your mom refuses to take the dogs walking there anymore because sharks.
sharks, yeah, like you can pretty much just stand on the beach and watch them, and the sharks keep showing up because people keep getting in the water. So why would you leave an automatic food source?
yeah, it's
So
like a little dispenser.
yeah,
Next idiot.
yeah, pretty much. So yeah, we have bears at our beaches. We have panthers in our swamps. We have swamps. We have alligators in our trees, and then we just have Floridians. So
Mhm.
come here at your
Yeah.
own risk. So yeah. Oh, and alligators absolutely enjoy swimming in swimming pools. So
Hmm.
Mhm.
so you're aware.
We get what, bears in swimming pools here?
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
All right. That's fair. You know, every bear needs a bath, I guess.
Well, it
Yes,
gets really hot. They
chlorine.
need to cool off somehow. Just
I
go
mean,
into their
ours go to the
backyard.
beach, so so you know, our bears just go on vacation. So I don't know what to tell you. But yeah. So yeah, the stories are gonna get progressively weirder. So I'm gonna mentally scar some people. So I'll enjoy
Starting
it.
with me. That's
Yeah,
what I was promised. Now you get to watch my reactions live, Misty.
I appreciate that. That is definitely a highlight of all of this. It's
I
just
had to bite my tongue a lot. Just think, don't say anything.
She was very good. She didn't spoil me on anything
That's good.
except the
Oh,
trauma that's coming my way.
oh,
I
so much
prepped her for the
trauma.
trauma.
That's fair. Gotta prep for that. So much trauma, so much drama.
Therapist on standby.
Hmm. She's right behind you.
Mm-hmm. Cat.
Therapist. I need a therapist after this. Oh, so the question is how do you guys want to start? Aaron, I don't know if you have like a list of stories or that you wanted to go through.
I was telling Ani that like my biggest workplace nightmare was just the last place that I worked. In general, it was the corporate nightmare. I
Okay.
mean, it had every piece of the puzzle. So,
Every piece of the corporate world that you can imagine, she dealt with.
mm-hmm,
Fun.
mm-hmm,
Very fun.
mm-hmm.
Um, any of those stories that you want to tell, or because you don't have to tell any if you don't want to, but if you can, if you'd like.
I mean, I'll warm up with one that isn't really mine, but then I heard about it immediately because my best work buddy told me. I mean, like she got off the phone with this person and then called me. So she calls me and she's like, I just got off the phone with, we'll call him uh Landon for this story. And she goes, I just got off the phone with Landon. Oh, I guess I should say what I actually do. I did, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great. Yeah, no, so I used to work at an insurance company and I was working in the department with the reps that were in the business under 5 years. So it's a lot of training, a lot of hand holding, a lot of
Gross.
repeating myself,
Of
and
course.
then and a lot of biting my tongue when it's like, I told you this already. Um,
5 times.
right. And so this person, Landon, was actually not he was over the 5 year limit, but they could kind of stay on if that they didn't want to hire their own team and they wanted to pay less for help do running their business.
Fun.
So yeah, so he was very entitled. I was telling Ani earlier, like he was the type to mommy daddy, so if he didn't get the answer he wanted from one person, he'd scamper on over and be like, can I do this? No. And like it took like 5 no's to tell him no. But anyway, so my friend calls me and she goes, oh my God, I gotta tell you. And she goes, Landon just called me and he was talking to me and then he goes, hold on. And he didn't put her on mute and he took a piss with her on the phone. Like he just left the phone next to the urinal, toilet, whatever. I mean, and then just let her sit there and absorb this.
We are not friends.
Yeah, it's
I don't need
we're
to
not
be that.
dating. We're not like, and it's like, and Landon had this just personality where like he would just do this. Like he'd come over, like when we were actually in the office, he would come over, take a chair that nobody was sitting in, and then he'd just like sit on it backwards and just like, I don't even know what would wiggle on it, like back and forth.
I'd kick him away.
I was not allowed.
Fuck him.
But basically, he was one of those people that just like, do you have a moment? He's gonna take up your time. So, and then pee on the phone while you're listening. Like, I cannot fathom the just empty-headedness that would.
I cannot wait till your friend gets out of there.
I know. My friend is still there. She's still suffering. But yeah, that one was just like that was symptomatic of the larger problem that was Landon.
And I had to ask her, I'm like, which one was Landon? Was he the one with the boat shoes and no socks? Was he the one with the like that always dressed nice? Is he the one? I forgot. And I was like, there's a lot of them from there that I'm just like, I can't keep up with these douchebags.
And I had to remind her that no, this is the one we did the voodoo spell for.
Yeah, we did a voodoo spell because I have a book on voodoo spells, and I'm just like, we need to get rid of this energy. So I did a spell.
Yeah, because he would call like right when you were supposed to be getting off, like, and be like, is so and so still? No, she leaves at 3:30. Oh well, can you do that? No, I leave at 4. Like it just that project is gonna take an hour. I will do it first thing in the morning. I swear to God, but I am not doing it right now. So goodbye, Landon.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I hate those kinds of people who are just like, oh, you leave in 5 minutes? Here's a 45-minute project.
Right?
Like, no.
They do that to me too, and I'm just like,
I know.
Like, guys, you want me to do a project that's gonna take me estimated 30 to 40 minutes, and you send it to me. I get done at 4. You send it to me at 3, and I already have other shit I gotta do.
Right.
I have an hour left. You want to add this? I'm like, no. It's either tomorrow morning or give it to somebody else.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's like they think you just sit there just twiddling your thumbs, just waiting for something to do.
Yeah, and at the insurance company, they're all salespeople, right? So
Yeah.
they don't understand the word no in any form.
Of course not.
And they're just, and then they're entitled, their existing entitlement with their like A-type personalities, right, was just reinforced at every turn by my immediate manager, our managing director.
I won't name her, but you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
What was her job? Because she didn't do shit.
Technically, she was the HR manager.
This woman was not really HR at all. You would go to her with a problem, and she would just kind of sweep it under the rug. Like she wouldn't even be involved.
Oh, her answer was always like, "Well, okay, let's say Landon was bugging me. Well, why don't you get on a phone call with him and talk it out? No, you are the HR person.
You get involved.
You tell him to fuck off.
Because clearly I've tried, and he does not get it.
Yeah, she was a stuck-up bitch wrapped in an idiot's clothing. That's all I have to say about it. Like,
yeah, this is also Daddy's company that she got.
Yeah, her dad used to be the managing director.
So I'm pretty sure she's got zero experience.
Yeah, and then
that goes with her job title.
She was just handed HR manager, and then she was like given our team to manage, I guess you could say. But she had no idea what we did on a regular basis. There were so many times where I'd ask her a question, and I would just I'd get her answer, and then I would go back to my friend who actually had a clue and is the best person. And I want to say that everybody that was in the staff part of the company were excellent people, were lovely people. All of the reps, all of them are assholes. Just that's it.
Because we're the ones behind the scenes going, I don't want to put up with this shit anymore.
Right. So I would go to
happy hour?
Yeah, exactly. I would our survival method was tacos.
There you go.
But yeah, my friend, I'd go and ask her the same question I had just asked my boss, and it would just be 180 degrees different. Complete, like she'd be like, no, you don't do that. No. And it's like, why? So I stopped asking my boss, obviously.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. And and if I had any issues with anybody, I just didn't even tell her because she was not.
She's what? What's the point?
Everything was call them and work it out. Like, let them. No. You be the boss
not
here.
Just because you're HR manager does not mean you have to be buddy with everybody.
Yeah. And
It's like it's actually the opposite of your
That's the
job.
opposite of what
Yeah.
you're supposed to do.
So that was always fun, and and I'll talk more about it later because I don't want to like dominate right now,
Oh, you're
but
fine.
like because I really want to hear some of Misty's stories. But yeah, it's like so that is the tip of the iceberg, like in this corporate hell that I worked in.
I don't understand why corporate offices are just a nightmare, but they are from start to finish.
And my
I
dad
mean,
was so
retail
happy I
is
got
just
that job
as bad on a different level.
Retail's a different
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of bad.
Mhm.
Retail, like office is drama. Retail is violence. So
I agree.
This is very true.
Mm-hmm.
So on that note, on the note of violence, I got one.
all right,
This is not corporate. This is retail.
okay,
So I had just moved to New Orleans. I got a job at a cafe on Bourbon Street. Now, let me set the scene for you. The first 3 blocks of Bourbon Street. You're walking down Canal Street and you hit Bourbon. The first thing you see is the Hustler store.
okay,
That takes up most of the 100 block. The 200 block is like this really nice, upscale, Zagat rated restaurant. The 300 block is where we have my cafe in Musical Legends Park. So there's
Okay.
like statues of like these musical legends. So you've got Louis Armstrong and like all these other people, right?
okay.
I'm the barista at the cafe. Oh yeah, before I get to after our spot, after the 300 block is where every building on Bourbon Street is either a bar or a strip club.
Okay.
So my clientele were a lot of strippers.
They need coffee too, Ani.
I know. Oh god, and some of the ones that
They
I had to
need
serve, I'm
coffee
just
more than
like
most people.
some of the girls I served, I'm like, honey, you need like a week of sleep, 5 cookies, and a whole ass cake. Go to bed. Like, don't go to work today.
Fair.
Anyways, so I'm a barista. I just started. This is the story of how I made head barista in a matter of 3 weeks. And this has nothing to do with my coffee prowess. All right.
Okay.
So here's the so I start and the head barista, the lead is showing me how to work the things, how how the PO system works and everything, right?
All right.
3 weeks in, 3 weeks later, I get to work and she's not there. And I ask around, where is she? And like, oh, she's not coming in anymore. Why? What happened? She was listening to. She had headphones in and she was riding home on her bike and she got hit by a dump truck.
Jeez.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
My first reaction was in my head. I'm thinking, how distracted or how loud were these? Whatever was in your ears that you didn't hear or see a giant ass dump truck in a New Orleans street.
They
The
are
streets are
tiny.
small. The streets are fucking small. And the dump truck is big and loud. How did you not hear it or see it? It fucking rammed into her. This girl needed skin grafts on her legs more than once.
Oh,
She
I
was
just
ended up
automatically
being
assumed she was dead. Sorry.
So skin grafts are an improvement.
There, she's alive. Better than I thought she was. So,
and the rest of the time that I was there, she was just like in the hospital for months getting these grafts. I'm just like, what were you doing? How did you miss a dump truck
well,
coming
it didn't
at
miss
you?
her.
Or that I missed her, that too. I'm just like, you're both so fucked. And that's how I made lead barista in 3 weeks.
Fair enough. Did it at least come with a pay raise?
No.
Of course not.
No, it did not. I did ask my one manager, I'm just like, can you train me in the bar so I can like be a bartender and make bank? And he's like, you don't want to do that. You make more money this way. I'm like, no, I don't. Those girls go home with like $300 a night per person. I don't. My paycheck for 2 weeks is barely $200.
He might have been trying to save your sanity.
That too, but I'm just like, I want money.
And the sexual harassment that probably comes with it.
Yes, she makes a good point.
I have a couple other New Orleans stories, but I'll come back to that. Where do you want to take off from there? Cool.
All right. My turn.
Your turn.
Oh, let me set the stage for pretty much all of my stories are going to come more or less from the same place. Though one of them I will tell will be one from when Ani and I were in Pennsylvania.
I have one.
But
It's not a horror story, but it's just a really fun one.
I have one that is about one of our least favorite regulars, but
Oh,
I'll save
all
I'll
right.
save that one. Um, so worked in a bookstore, the Castles and Poor People here in Florida, and I worked as a barista in the planetary deer that is inside the Castles and Poor People. And just for the record, it was the biggest Castles and Poor People in Orlando. So we had all of the major events. We had all of like the big, like authors and things come in and stuff like that. We're also right next to downtown.
That's the one you
So
took me to.
yes, I did because I
Yes.
remember I had to talk to people I didn't like. So
Yeah.
not
And when,
that anybody in there that I still like, so but that's fine. Um, we will use the name of my cafe manager. We'll call him.
it wasn't B. It was something else.
We can call him B. That's
There was a
fine.
different B.
There's two B's actually.
Oh,
They both share the same name. So, but we'll just call him my cafe manager. We'll just call him B for now.
all
That's
right.
fine. Um, to start the setting off of understanding what kind of work environment I worked in, I transferred to this cafe from the one Ani and I worked at in Pennsylvania. And which means I hadn't met anyone who worked there. I internally transferred and all that because they had an opening. Um, which means I hadn't met my cafe manager before that moment. And my very first day, my very first 5 minutes, I walk into the cafe. He introduces himself, and the very first thing he says to me is, I didn't interview you, so I don't really know how well this is going to work out. And that was the tone of how the rest of my next 6 years
Yeah.
in that store.
Yeah. B is a piece of shit.
Yep. Yep. So, and yeah. So that was great. A great way to start this off too. And it's just like, and I will admit, I have never in my life met someone quite as good at manipulating people as this man is.
Oh.
This
And he
man,
is
like from what,
very good at it.
yeah, from what she's told me, like we were kind of lazy when it came to like not to say restocking the cafe stuff, but like the bakery items. But like when it came time to like, oh, this is expired or it's going to expire today, we're gonna throw it out and wrap it, and like, oh, there's only 2 cookies left on this plate, we're gonna go make more. Nothing. This man did none of it. None of it.
I can elaborate on that one
Yeah,
as an introductory way to set the stage a little more. At one point, due to an accident that had happened involving my cafe manager, which I do feel bad for him because it wasn't his fault, and getting hit by a semi is never fun.
truck
He was.
semi.
Although maybe deserved.
I will leave that to your guys'
I don't think
understanding.
my cafe lead deserved to get hit by a dump truck, but B definitely deserved to get hit by a semi.
Fair enough. Um, yeah, I can't argue with that because I absolutely have had a panic attack because of that man and had to go to a hospital. So, like,
I remember that.
yeah, so because he gave me such bad panic attack that I had to go to the hospital and he didn't fucking care. So to set the stage a little, so to set the stage a little more, he was gone for about 6 months, and in those 6 months, we were already say our staff was probably supposed to be about 12. We had about 6,
Oh,
and yeah, so everybody was working like doubles and like alone a lot of the time and all
I
that.
remember that when only one person was allowed in the cafe.
Yeah, well, that came later, but there was a point where we just had about 6 people working there, and in the first month that he was gone, 5 of them quit. So, the cafe's experienced staff was me. It was just me. The other people that were in there were the booksellers who had a little bit of cafe experience, and that was it. There are 2 positions above my own position, which is cafe lead and cafe manager, and we didn't have a cafe lead, and the manager was the one that was gone. And so for about 6 months, the cafe was me. And I I'd been working there for like a couple years at that point, but I made minimum wage, and they expected absolutely everything to go through me: the ordering, the inventory,
She's
the
doing
making
cafe
sure.
manager job at minimum wage.
Minimum wage for several months. And at this point, we went through a change in store manager. And our previous store manager was psychotic. Just psychotic. She used to stand on the other side of the espresso machines and like peek out and watch you from around the espresso machines. Or she would stand like in the shelves and just stand there and like watch you. It was really
Why?
Fuck.
yeah, like because she wanted to catch you doing something you weren't supposed to be doing. The problem is that
Go
not
do
a
your own
single
goddamn job.
Oh, no, she never left the office unless it was to watch you, and that was the only 2 things that she
To
did.
watch.
Yeah, like a real creepy stalker person, she just liked to watch you. And then the problem with not having any cafe staff is the fact that none of the managers know how to be a barista at all. So the
Mhm.
experienced baristas in the store are me and the former cafe lead who hasn't been in the cafe in about 15 years who works in the different department. That's it. So the time comes and we have to start hiring people, obviously. They have me interview them. I've never interviewed somebody in my life.
Oh my
So
god.
they're just like, we don't know what you need. Do you know what you need? And I'm like, yeah, I need fucking people. Like, just what the fuck?
I need
And they're
bodies and brains. Thank you.
yeah. So they're like, well, we need you to interview these people. And I'm like, okay, sure. I am not cafe lead and I am not cafe manager. And then around the time when we're interviewing people and we're starting to hire people, and we hired 3 or 4 people, that all of which that I interviewed, and then all of which I trained
Mhm.
myself. And I spent that time like when I wasn't at work, I wrote a bunch of training like manuals and instructions and everything because we didn't have any. There were no instructions, there was no
Yep,
nothing. Like all of our menus
Florida.
and like our drink recipes are in shorthand. So like unless you understand the shorthand, you can't read it.
Mm-mm.
I
So it
remember
was
we had a
yeah,
binder. We had an actual binder at the
we
Pennsylvania one.
didn't
At the
we didn't
yeah,
have a binder. We had
no.
a menu binder, like so you had like the recipes and everything like that, but we didn't have a binder of like the instructions that the way we did in Pennsylvania. Like there was
Right.
actually like health code stuff and things
Mhm.
like that. None of which was followed in castles and poor people. None of the health code things were followed at all. So in these 6 months that it is just me, I'm hiring people, I'm training people and everything, and we're getting a new store manager at the same
And
time who
still making minimum wage.
still making minimum wage. And at one point she asked me, she's like, "So why haven't you tried for cafe lead?" And I laugh at her. And I said, "Because the last time we haven't had a cafe lead in the 2 years that I've been here. And the last time I inquired about it, the store manager before looked at me dead in the eye and said, "When we get a cafe lead, it won't be from somebody from the store." So,
Why?
because she fucking hated all of us. And that's what she said to me. And I told this to my new store manager, and she's like, "Well, that lady's not here anymore. Are you interested?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Great. You can go through the applying process and everything like that." And like, and I'm in the interview process, and I'm like, "I'm the only one who works here. Like, who
Approved.
else are you going to
Approved.
give it to?" And
Like,
she's like,
do I
"But we
really
won't."
like? I get the I get I have to do the application process for like legal reasons,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
technical reasons, but like you don't need to interview me. I've worked here for like the past like X
I
amount of
am
years.
already an employee.
I'm the
And
only one you have.
it gets better. We will not be conducting said interviews or talking about said promotions until my cafe manager returns.
Oh, never mind.
And I tried so hard to push the interviews before he got back. And I told her, it's like, I don't want him interviewing me because he hated my fucking guts because I didn't like him because he was an asshole. And his favorite thing to do was cause drama. Like he would go and he would tell me, it's like, well, so and so that we work with said all these things about you. And then like, he would turn around and then he would go to like one of my other barista coworkers and be like, well, Misty said all these things about you. And like, none of them were true. And the stupid part about it is like we talk to each other. And like one day, like one of my coworkers came and was like, "Did you say these things about me?" And I'm like, "I have literally no idea what you're talking about because I didn't." And I'm just like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And they're like, "Yeah, I didn't think so." Like he said, you said a bunch of shit about me, and then also he said a bunch of shit about you to me, and I'm like, great. And that continued for the entire 6 years that I worked there.
You want to
And
tell her about what B said to you about like uh basically, like basically saying, well, he's a rich, entitled asshole, and he's like, "Oh, you don't need more money."
So many of those conversations, and like because he likes to think that he has a lot of money. He also
Great.
likes to think he has good taste. He doesn't have either of those things. He lives in like a cinder block house on a like a just a shitty ass road because and I'm just like, you what? But when he got in the accident, he kept bragging about how much money he was going to get from the settlement, talking to everybody who would listen to him about the millions of dollars he was going to get from it. He did not. Just for the record, he did not.
Of course.
But like they wanted to give me the cafe lead position, and I'm like, that's amazing, that's great, that's a promotion, that's more money. That was a 75-cent raise, and like I didn't even get an additional dollar for that. And so all of the people that currently work in the cafe when he comes back are people I have trained, and they fucking adore me. And because I have been
That's
the
her own
sole
army.
they've been the sole, like I am the only person they have interacted with at this point, because everyone, and let me tell you, when I walked in that cafe on my very first day of working there, everyone worshipped the ground this man walked on, and they thought he was the greatest gift God had ever created, and I just didn't
Well, because he
understand it.
believed it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like every time, like he and I clashed, and we clashed a lot because I couldn't stand the way he talked to me. Talked to me like I was an idiot, like I was a piece of shit, like I'd never done anything right in my entire life. And everything he was doing was also so very much a violation of every health code rule ever. It was disgusting. Like I didn't order things from there unless I made them, or I cooked it, or I made the drink. Like absolutely not, because anything he didn't touch with his bare hands was likely to be expired for several years. So, to set the stage of the environment of this cafe a little more, when he was gone for 6 months, the very first thing I did is I found one of the managers that we worked there that I know hated his guts. And I said, I'm going to go through this cafe and I'm going to throw out everything that is expired. And she's like,
Good
good,
for you.
do it. And that's
Do
what I did.
it.
It took more than one shift.
No.
Jesus Christ.
No.
Yeah.
This is 2017, 2018. I was pulling things out from 2012, 2013.
This man.
Had he been there that long?
He'd been there for over 20 years, yeah.
Yeah.
I was pulling things
Well
out
deserved semi
from like
kidding.
the year I graduated high school, and I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And so I take it all, and like it's in huge trash bags, and there's just trash bags everywhere. And this manager comes back there, she's like, what did you do? And I said, there are things here that aren't even from this year. And I said, these are not things, like I was generous and I left, like, for the most part, things that were from this year. I said, these are things from like 2012, 2013, 5+ years. And she's like, you've got to be kidding me. And I said,
No.
go ahead, you can read it. And she was pulling things up, and like she's looking at it and she's like, holy shit. And I said, I don't understand how we are functioning, and we get in, like, but the best part is we don't get health inspected. So we haven't gotten a health inspection since some of this stuff was expired in the first place. So I did a purge of this cafe. It took multiple days. And that manager was just like, yes, let's get rid of all of this. So I do all of this. I work really hard. I make training manuals and instruction manuals. And I'm doing like inventory and orders. And like, I am in charge of this cafe. Okay. So these cafe people love me because they're all like, I think I'm like 25-ish at the time, and they're all like 18, 19, like maybe 21 at max. They're babies. And it's just like, and that's fine, but they haven't had a lot of job experience and stuff like that, and like some of them are really nervous about being a barista and everything. And our customers will yell at you, no questions asked. No, there doesn't need to be a problem. They will just yell at you. And my main rule with them was like, somebody creeps you out, somebody yells at you, somebody does anything you don't like, the first thing you do, so long as I am here, is you tell me. I said,
Mhm.
because my favorite thing in the world to do is piss these people off.
Mm.
That is my number one goal. Somebody freaks you out, somebody creeps you out, somebody yells at you, you let me know. And that's exactly what they did, because that was my number one rule is you don't fuck with my people. Now, they
I would
adore
be
me
an
for
assistant
this.
manager any day for that
Yeah.
singular
Mhm.
sentence.
Yes, you don't fuck with my people. And B has the exact opposite approach. Is he will be the first one to fuck with you, and he doesn't really give a shit what the customer has to say as long as they're not saying it to him.
Mhm.
So he comes back and he hates my guts. What he really hates is the fact that I changed a lot of things to make it more functional. And then he tries to
And
tell me,
following the health code.
and
Mm.
following the health code, yeah, and that was what really got him, like, whoo, man, health code and like expiration dates and things like
Oh,
that. And like our food license actually not being expired by several years, things like that. And so he like then he comes back and then he's like, "Oh, they want to make you cafe lead." And he can't say anything about it because I've been running a cafe for 6 months without him.
Mhm.
So,
Good
against
job
his
about it.
efforts, I become cafe lead. And now at this point, I have made 75 cents more. I've also slightly doomed myself into the fact that now I have to spend a lot of time with him, and which is unfortunate.
Mm.
So I have to spend a lot of time with this man, and I hate it, and he hates it. But more importantly, my people hate him. They
Yes.
hate him. I told them like the day before he came back, and I told him like, look, I'm gonna say this from a very biased point of view. I can't stand him. I said, but I'm going to tell you these things that I'm about to tell you because you need to be aware of what's going to happen when he walks through the door. He's going to say things to you that are probably just pretty awful. Then he's going to turn around and tell you that everybody who works here is also saying things about you that are also very awful. None of that will be true. By the time everybody had had their first shift with him, each one of them had come to me and like, "Oh my god, all for one thing, they're like, "He hates you," and I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, and then they're like, and he said all of these things, and like he was and like he doesn't like anything that we do, and he says, "Oh well, Misty trained you, so it's wrong," and he like
Yep.
that is not an abbreviation, that's a quote. That's what he would tell them. And it's just like, well, she's the one who trained you, so it's wrong. So we'll probably have to train all of you from scratch, despite the fact that some of
No.
them had been doing this for like 5 to 6 months at this point. Like, we're just gonna have to retrain you, all of you,
No, you're
because you're
not.
not doing anything right. And they're just collectively, no, just and they can't stand him. And it pisses him off.
Oh,
It
good.
pisses him off.
Is he still there?
Yes, to my knowledge.
Did I
I have
see him?
Probably not. She would remember that.
I'm trying to
uh
remember if she pointed him out to me.
I
Oh,
think
I
he
think
was the
you
one in the
did.
cafe. Yes. Yeah, like the super tall dude. Yeah. Um
Oh.
Yeah, I got to see him. I was like, ew.
yeah, yeah. It's I haven't seen anybody have that much hair gel in their hair since the 90s. So, looks like a in sync boy band or like the one with all the hair gel in his
Well,
hair.
clearly he hasn't had another job since the 90s, so
That's very true.
got
So
there.
this I have told you all of this to set the stage for the actual shit that happens.
I can't believe that was all set up.
She's a great storyteller.
Yeah, I thought that was the story.
No,
I mean, it
No,
was.
no.
it gets worse.
Oh God.
We haven't even gotten to the knives and the threatening and the drunk people and the chains and the ambulances
And the
and
bombs.
the bomb, the knowing the cops by sight and name and the fire department. Oh no. So let's this this is why I wanted you to be on this so I could see this look on your face.
In case you're wondering, the look is absolute horror.
Yeah. So I will go back in time a little bit. Okay. Now I had been a barista for a year. And my first month there at this Barnes and Noble consisted of like my very first interaction with my cafe manager was him telling me that, I don't know how well this is going to work out.
Mhm.
So that was my first interaction with him. All right. Within my first 2 or 3 weeks, I discovered why Florida's fucking crazy. I wasn't
You too?
prepared for yeah, I wasn't really prepared for Florida to be this crazy, but it was. So, one of my first month of my shifts, and I walking back from lunch from the break room, and you have to walk by the magazine department. And in our
Mhm.
magazine department are this store and this location of castles and poor people is over 20 years old. Like, it's
Mhm.
just super fucking old, and you can tell because they pretty much have all of the original things in it, including the carpeting, but also the benches. The
Oh.
benches in the magazine section are wooden and they are
Mhm.
brown mostly,
Mm.
where on the top where people sit, it is no longer brown. It is black because it is dirty. It is very, very dirty. It is so dirty you don't sit on it because this wood that is brown is black and it just shouldn't be. So I'm walking through and I'm like putting my name tag on because I'm going back to the cafe and like I'm getting ready like to, go back to my shift and all that. And there's this guy, and he's an old guy and he's sitting there. He's very like heavy set. He's got one prosthetic leg. That's very
Oh.
important. Okay. So he's sitting there and he waves me over like he needs help. And I'm like, okay. And I'm just, hi. And I was standing probably 3 or 4 feet from him. And he's like, could you come here? And I, politely. And I said, sure. And I said, what can I do for you? And he says, watch this. And
No.
he takes out a knife. And I immediately take like several steps back. And I'm like, oh, I was freaked out, but not super concerned because I'm pretty just sure I can outrun him, like if he comes at me. But but he takes out a knife, and I'm like, okay, sure. So he takes out a knife, and he's like, watch this, and I'm like, okay. So the guy's sitting on the bench, and he takes out the knife, and he scrapes the knife on the black part of the bench to take some of the goo and like just build up and like it just to like scrape some of it off, which is gross. But it's a 20-year-old bench, not really surprising. Now this is where it gets weird. He looks at me and he said, if a young lady in a white skirt and no underwear was to sit on this bench, it would not be good for her.
Why are you thinking about that?
And I'm just like, what? What? And I'm just like taking steps back at this point, and I'm just
As
like,
you should.
and I'm just like,
Retreat.
and I just told him, he's like, well, the benches they're very old, and we don't replace them. And I just turned around and walked away, and I went back to the cafe, and I
You're working the
stayed.
cafe. Goodbye.
Yeah, I went into the back area of the cafe, and I did dishes for an hour because I just couldn't process what had just happened to me. And after probably like the first like 45 minutes, like my cafe manager who was there he came back there and he's just like, what are you doing? Because I'd been back there for like 45 minutes to an hour.
Staying
And I
away
told
from the creepy, goopy man.
and I said, I'm just gonna stay here for a little while. And he didn't even question it. And he's like, cool. And like my next shift I had with like uh a cafe lead eventually had a cafe lead at some point. That wasn't me. She lasted 6 months before she was like, fuck it, I can't do this anymore. But I told her what happened, and she's like, you're joking, right? And I said, no. He pulled out a knife, scraped it on a bench, and then
Said that.
yeah. And she was horrified and didn't know what to do with that, mostly because it was like her second week in the store.
Did
And I'm
she
just
also
like,
spend the next hour doing dishes to process?
no, but she did tell me I had to like tell her if I ever saw the guy again. And I'm like, sure. I have thankfully never seen that man again.
All right.
A panic button should be installed in the cafe, separate from like the actual like
We're being robbed.
we're being robbed panic button, but like just a regular button, regular button.
Regular button. That was my first month at that store. It gets worse from there.
I already don't know how you lasted 6 years.
I mean, that's very fair, but it was out of absolute necessity for a paycheck and like a schedule that met the flexibility I needed while going to school. So
Okay.
that
Yeah,
was the
that was I asked her
only
I
reason.
asked her a lot. I'm like, why don't you go somewhere else? And it would always come down to they can work around my school schedule.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
because every semester I had to have, like, different days and times off, and they
Of course,
were
yeah.
mostly staffed by college kids, so they just did that, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm not gonna really find this kind of flexibility anywhere else," so
Yeah.
that's what I did. So, Erin, if you'd like to tell your next work horror story.
Okay,
Nice.
so
Hit us.
this was, again, it's going to be kind of an all-encompassing, like, of my experience.
Now,
with
was this
person.
also at the insurance company?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so the person that I will refer to from here on out as the Karen was the, I mean, and she'd tell you, everyone at the fucking office would tell you that she was the number one seller of insurance.
Oh my god, her.
Yes, her.
Oh god.
So
Okay.
in like she was number one on the West Coast, like definitely in the top 10 in the whole company, the highest ranked woman, blah blah blah, corner office, entitlement.
Congratulations. Like,
I mean, from the time I started, she was
and
a
you were
fucking
there for
nightmare.
how long? 2 years?
2.5 years. Now, granted, pandemic, I was only in the office for a year,
Right.
but she managed to pack in a lot, just on her own.
She managed to get to you through
Almost.
the computer.
I mean, she was the first person to make me cry.
Oh, it's that bitch. Okay.
So, I mean, so I started in my position. I didn't actually start on the team with the training. I started up in the front office. So
Yeah,
I
you
was
started at
answering
reception.
Yeah, in reception. I was, answering phone calls, all that good stuff, which is its own perfect nightmare.
I never want to be a receptionist ever again.
No, but I did have my own office. That was kind of like where I was allowed to shut the door occasionally.
If any of my old jobs where they had me on the phone, especially, I need to write that down. I need to write that down as my other story. We'll get to that. There you go. Continue.
Anyway, so she was, and I will say that she was the nicest person to her clients, of course, because she wanted to, make money. But she was awful to the staff, awful. And so, so part of my thing was that if any packages arrived, I would bring them back.
Okay.
I mean, this is in my first week or two. And so she got these 2 big boxes, and I'm like carrying them. I mean, one of them had to be 30 pounds. So I carry it back to her office, and I knock on the door, and I go, package or something. Oh, also my job was to open any packages that were delivered there for regulation rules, just in case there was any live checks or anything. And I said something about, oh, got a shipment of binders here for you. And she gives me the dirtiest look, and she goes, give that to Stacy next door.
Okay.
I mean, like, it wasn't like, hi, thank you. It was just, give that to Stacy next door, which was her assistant. And no one had told me, put all of Karen's stuff in Stacy's office.
Right.
And it's like, okay, all right. I mean, but she was like so aggressive, and like, and her office was kitty corner to my boss's, so I was convinced that my boss heard this whole thing.
Yeah.
Of course, she didn't interact with me at all. But like, so I went back to the mailroom, and I was like, I was trying to brush it off, right? But again, I'm new. They've already emphasized who she is in the organization,
right?
That she's all powerful and you don't fuck with her.
And us being us at that time, we're just like, please don't yell at me.
Yeah,
I will cry.
I
now
will
it's
still
like,
cry.
I will still cry, but
and
now
then I'll punch you in the face.
Yeah, now the crying is fueled with violence.
Yes, and only slightly tempered by antidepressants. Anyway, so I was in the mailroom,
excuse.
I was trying to brush it off, and I'm like, get it together, you're an adult, you don't need to be crying about this. And I'm like, and then one of the other staff members, who she's very awesome and I do miss her, she comes in and she goes, I heard that whole thing. That was entirely inappropriate of her to do.
Like, someone's on my team.
Yeah. And so of course when she comes in and says that to me and validates that I was not blowing it out of proportion in my anxiety riddled mind, then that's when I cried.
Right? It's like, I feel so seen.
And I'm like, first of all, thank you for coming in and doing that. Okay, so that was my first real interaction with the Karen. Then
fun.
Then the next interaction that really just kind of and she was very loud, and your mom is staring at me.
Oh, she wants to give us cake.
Ooh. And then yeah, so then the next thing was she was very loud, and we in the reception area we had glass walls and tiled floors. So everything echoed. No matter no matter if you were speaking at a normal volume, which she never did. She always was this woman had just a fucking foghorn of a voice. And no chill about using it. So she if she wanted me, she'd be like, Aaron, and I'm like, first of all, that's nice that you know my name, but shut the fuck up. And but and it was always menial stuff. It was, like someone's here to deliver a package. That actually, she did get me in trouble because I was in the mailroom, which was literally around a doorway from the reception area, because someone had been waiting there for 2 minutes and had not rung my little bell.
Did you have a sign
I had a
that
bell.
says, Lily, ring bell for
Yes.
assistance? Ring the fucking bell!
No one had rung the bell. I only had one headphone in so I could hear.
Right.
Yeah.
And this person probably had been waiting for a minute max. And I was actually in the mailroom doing the other part of my job, right? And she and the Karen comes in and stomps in, and she was a very tall woman.
Mm-hmm.
And not fat or anything, but
no,
she
he
was
said
just
tall, so I'm assuming it's a lot of gravity.
But it's a lot,
being
yeah.
pushed
So
down.
it's a, she just was a presence, we will say. And she comes stomping her, and she's like, "There's someone waiting. It's a client." And I'm like, "Okay,
Thank
they
you.
didn't ring the bell. Okay, but you don't argue, right? You don't say
Yeah.
they didn't ring the bell. You just go, okay, I'll go out there." So I slam everything down. Obviously, rip out my head. I don't go out with the headphones on.
Right.
Yeah. And I go and I help this person, and I call whoever they were supposed to meet with, and I'm like, "Your client's here, blah, blah, blah." I go back to the mailroom, and in this time, she has gone to my manager to say that I did not help this person because I had my headphones in. So from then forth, I was not allowed to wear the headphones in the mailroom where they couldn't see me, right? Like, I could understand it in the front office where I could be seen.
Yeah.
But I was in a back area.
Yeah.
So that was that. Then, and she does all of this at volume, right?
Of course she does.
Of course.
So I'm sure that this echoed down the hallways and me being berated. Then another thing that she did, and this was not directly to me, I just was collateral hearing because I couldn't do anything but. And so one of our other staff people, she was in a different department than me. It was her birthday, and she got flowers delivered. So, and it was this magnificent bouquet. I mean, it was tall, right? So it was really impressive. And anybody that was walking by was like, "Oh, who's that for?" And I'm like, "It's for, Katie." And Kate, Katie's, I don't have a problem with Katie. That's not the thing here. But and so Katie finally comes out, but then the Karen walks by, and she's like, "Whoa, you guys making babies tonight?"
What?
Oh.
Because it was from her husband.
Jesus
It was
Christ.
from Katie's husband. And Katie's just going, And again, this is in that marble thing where everything echoes. I mean, and I'm just going. And there was a whole ass client coming in the door when she said that.
No.
And
Oh my God.
But I missed my little dog bell. And I got in trouble. But she can be out there saying that shit about making
That's
babies.
disgusting.
It is. But no one would say anything to her because she was the shit and blah blah, and she makes so much. I mean, she was making $1 million a year in sales.
Oh, you know who we needed to come in to tell just one story? Jeannie.
Yeah.
Just to tell one story about that crazy ass lady who they caught doing fraud.
Oh, goody. No, Karen was actually on the up and up, but even my boss would not go toe to toe with her. They shared an air conditioning system. Like, they had their vent was on the same thermostat.
Yeah.
And I swear, 2 or 3 times a week while I was in reception, I'd get a request from my boss. Karen is too hot. Karen is too cold. Call maintenance and have them come, because we couldn't just change our own thermostats. We had to bring in maintenance to the building to get them to do it.
Just to have
What the
walkie-talkies in
hell?
that.
Yeah.
You need walkie-talkies in that office, and all you would hear is Goldilocks needs her air conditioning change. Out.
Exactly. I mean seriously 2 or 3 times a week.
God damn.
And
That's
then
insane.
yeah, and
At some point, just install a thermostat.
yeah, it was in my boss's room. So and my boss would just never argue. It's like it's 110 degrees in Woodland Hills. Leave the fucking air conditioning alone. But
It's
she
set
would
at
never
73.
argue.
Leave it alone.
Wear a sweater. Like if you're like
No shit.
if your office gets cold, wear a sweater.
Bring
And
a
they
blanket.
both
I literally in the office that where I'm working at now. We haven't been in there in 2 years, but my desk still has my Kylo Ren blanket on my chair. Like I took a blanket to work because it would get cold.
and yeah, for sure. But no, and anything that the Karen wanted, the Karen got.
Hey, right.
And then, okay, so long after I graduated from reception, thank God. Oh, because I had to clean the dishes and
Oh God.
the dishwasher and make
Yeah,
sure the
that's
coffee.
receptionist job.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm like, I'm so much smarter than this, but thank you. Not that reception should be shit on. It was the way I was treated up there was too awful.
That whole place. That and the place that I was temping at where I met Jeannie. That place. Those places are just terrible places to work at.
And so this is kind of the icing on the cake. Is I was no longer the receptionist. I don't remember if at the time, I think we must have been between receptionists. So because
you were going back and forth, weren't you?
When my little bell would ring, I had to jump up from my desk in the back. I mean, I had to walk over 100 feet from my desk to the reception area.
That's insane.
And answer this bell. That was their solution while we did not have a receptionist.
And when they did get a new receptionist, she was mid-40s, didn't know how to use a computer.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, yeah, that was she didn't know how to copy paste. It was really bad. And she was really Christian, and she had a lot of problems, and but God take the wheel. Okay. But anyway, so I'm sitting there and I'm like doing my literal day-to-day job. I don't think I was actually meeting with one of the other reps, but the Karen comes stomping back to over by and she goes, "Erin, I just broke a plate in the kitchen." And I'm like,
good for you.
I'm like, I'm sorry, because I'm a compulsive apologizer. And she's like, "Do you know where the broom is?" No, I do not. Also, just why? I mean, I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's behind the fridge, but why couldn't you grab it? And I had to go clean it up. I had to go get the dustpan and the broom and pick up the plate she dropped. In a slight, it's not even defense. It's in truth, she did pick up the largest pieces, but I had to do the actual like sweeping up of the small pieces.
God forbid she gets on her hands and knees and does some actual grunt work.
No.
Oh, fuck this.
And I'm just like, ugh. But mercifully, when the world got COVID, I never had to see her again. And I have not seen her to this day.
Yay!
So it has a happy ending, folks.
There you go. As long as you don't have to see that shit again.
Mm-hmm. But they were all kind of like that at that place.
All right,
That's fun.
I'll go to New Orleans. So while I was in New Orleans, I was there from January to June. So I did get to experience Mardi Gras. The unofficial week of Mardi Gras and the official week of Mardi Gras. And I got to work on Fat Tuesday. At around 9 or 10, the band that we had, because we have a band, the same band that played every day, same songs, same sets, every day.
No, thank you.
They didn't even put it on shuffle?
No.
Oh my God.
Just, yeah, Steamboat Willie would just play the same shit over and over and over again. Yeah, he played the trumpet. So I got to work on Mardi Gras, like I said, around 9 or 10. The band is done. My manager comes over and he's like, "We're gonna put on like regular music now or whatever, just like whatever's popping." So he takes my iPod and just plugs it in. He's like, "There you go." The first song that came up on shuffle was Rihanna. I'm like, all right, because this fits the Mardi Gras night.
All right.
So part of my job as being a barista here was to clean out the bathrooms.
Ew.
On Mardi Gras. On Mardi Gras. Oh.
Oh, I'm so glad that was never a part of my barista job. Nope.
In like the other girl that I was working with, she got the girls' bathroom and I got the men's bathroom.
Ew.
There's just piss in all the urinals. I found someone's boxer shorts in the toilet.
What happened to
I
that
don't
man?
know. I don't
We can
know.
only hope they were lost in pleasurable
I
circumstances.
don't know. And I saw it. I'm just like, you know what? I'm not even gonna clean this damn bathroom because like there's no cleaning this. I need to
Just
be in here with a
burn it
hazmat
down.
suit. I need a hazmat suit for this. My gloves and my one trash
And
bag are
hazard pay.
not going to be enough. Now,
No, you just
once,
no.
Yeah.
Burn it. Burn it.
I know. So once we were finally done, like we closed up shop, we closed up the cafe and the park and everything. It's midnight. Everyone's walking down Bourbon Street. Also, it is jam packed with bodies. Everyone's drunk. The
I'm really
ground.
glad you clarified that like it was drunk people bodies,
Uh-huh.
not like dead bodies
Not dead
in the
bodies.
streets.
No,
It's New Orleans. Who knows?
I mean it is New Orleans.
Exactly, that was my thought. I was like, oh.
No, there are drunk bodies just ambling around. The ground is covered with alcohol, piss, vomit, and horse shit. And beads. Lots of beads.
All of this sounds like a chance to fall.
Oh, I slipped many times.
Oh.
Trying to walk the other direction to get back to Canal Street, to walk down Canal and get to my bus, which luckily was running late because it was Mardi Gras. Otherwise, I have to get a taxi.
Were you down by the
I-
moonwalk or about down like
The Riverwalk?
Yeah, Riverwalk.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a clarifying question I'd like to ask. When you say you slipped, did you like fall? Or
No,
just, like,
I
start to lose your
luckily
balance?
did not. I lost my
She
She
balance.
didn't
so
come home
many
with
times.
hepatitis, so
Literally,
she's fine.
literally, heart dropping out of my ass. Like I'm about to go head first into this pile of I don't know what this is.
It's head first or hands first, just like, and then you would have to touch it.
And I just you see me just flailing to not fall, and everyone's like, "Hey!" I'm like, "Don't fucking talk to me. Don't look at me. You're drunk. Leave me alone so I can get out of here. I just want to go to my stupid twin XL bed in my dorm room." Like,
Twin X.
No. You wonder why I never want to go to New Orleans. This is why.
this is just Mardi Gras.
In the off season, it is okay.
It is nice. Now, this isn't a horror story, but
No,
It
that
needs to be told.
street is a horror story on its
Bourbon
own.
Street is a shit show.
Mm-hmm.
Once the sun goes down and the
Mhm.
bars open up, it's a fucking shit show.
Like,
Um,
look, that you walking on that street, that's like at night with all that stuff on it. That's a horror story. If you'd have fallen, that would have been your obituary.
Yeah, that would have been.
So,
Like,
like,
I'm not living after
I know,
this.
and your ghost outfit would be covered in vomit and shit and beads.
Yeah, this is true.
Your ghost outfit.
Now, I'll finish up New Orleans experiences with this. There were two things. Sorry, three. One was one of the Paul, the guy that played the stand-up bass or the cello, whatever the fuck you want to call it, stand-up bass
Mhm.
in the band. He would always come in with a styrofoam cup and he just wants to fill it with soda. So he would.
Okay.
One day, I was not paying attention. He gave me this cup and I dumped out what was in it thinking it was melted ice.
No.
I dumped out the man's vodka.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I am so sorry.
Party foul.
I'm so sorry. He's like, fuck. I'm like, if they're like, go to the bar, tell them I fucked up, take it out of my check. I don't know. I thought it was ice. Anyway, he was a champ about it. He was so excited to meet my mom when she came to pick me up that he did like every break they had in the band, he would go to sit down with my mom at her table and just talk to her about how amazing I was. I'm like, all right.
I mean, that's nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
I did tell a customer who had just gone into town, because we also sold food, like red beans and rice, and besides beignets and coffee, I don't remember what else we sold, but jambalaya and whatever,
Simpler stuff.
simpler
probably.
things. But this guy came in, he's like, "What's good here?" And I'm like, "Okay, sir, do you want like, I'm like, first of all, how hungry are you? Second of all, do you want like real authentic? You're down in NOLA, like New Orleans soul food." or just I'm hungry, I need something to like just pass the time, and I'm gonna move on. He's like, no, I'm hungry, I want to eat something nice from this. I'm like, go somewhere else. I literally told him, go somewhere else. Like if you want, if you want good beignets that are huge and fresh, we got you covered. And on the coffee, like you want good coffee, you go to Cafe Olay. Their beignets suck because they're just sitting out there for the tons of customers coming in. But their Cafe Olay is nice. Our coffee, beignets, great. Food, go somewhere else. He gave me a $20 tip and left.
Hey.
Yeah.
All right. That's
Honestly
fair.
pays.
Mm-hmm.
Look, tips as a barista are hard to come by. $20 tips are just like a
Yep.
unicorn.
I'm like, I'm gonna take that and pocket it, not putting it in the tip jar. That is all mine.
Fuck yeah, it is.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
That was one thing about working at Castles and Poor People is we didn't really share tips very much.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have to. So
All
most
right.
of the
Until
time
one
because
of
you
you-
just most of the time you just got to a point you're just working by yourself anyway, so that it just belonged to you anyway. So
Well, the
like
thing,
if you got
that was annoying where I was working at, we had to split the tips with the kitchen crew. And I'm like, the kitchen crew isn't out here dealing with these people.
yeah. Customer service people should always be the people that make the most money. Like no matter what it is, they should always just be the ones that make the most money.
Right? Now, this last story is not in New Orleans, but it does involve the cafe. So it is when I was in the planetary deer in Philly.
Okay.
I had a lady come in. This is like toward the end of the shift, right? It's about we're done at what 9:45, 10.
Yeah.
She comes in at like 8:30. She's like, "Hi, I would like to order a hot grande chai."
I remember this lady.
I'm like, "All right." All right. Any specifications? Before I even ask, she's like, "Oh, I want 16 pumps of chai and extra hot soy milk."
That's disgusting.
I looked at this lady like as I'm literally pumping the chai into the grande cup. It is 3/4 of the way full. Not even. It's like 3.5 quarters of the way full. There's like maybe a knuckle space deep for like her milk. As I'm pumping and I'm looking at the lady, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I said this out loud. Whether or not she heard me, I don't know. But I'm like, do you want to just get the carton of chai behind you and drink right out of that? Because it'll be cheaper than what you're ordering.
Yeah.
Like when I make chai, I'm supposed to put water in there to dilute the solution.
Yep.
It is a chai solution. You're supposed to dilute it. Like, there's no room for the water, and there's no room for your soy milk. There's literally a knuckles worth of soy milk that I put that I had under the wand to steam it for like 5 seconds because it just went. It said no.
Probably evaporated.
And I'm just like, here's your 16 pump chai with extra hot a dollop of soy milk. She's like, thanks, bye. I'm like, ugh, please never come
That
back.
sounds disgusting. And for anyone who doesn't know, chai doesn't the chai concentrate isn't hot. It's just room temperature because it's just sitting there. Just imagine holding a cup in your hands and it's all chai concentrate except for like the littlest tablespoon of milk and just drinking that. And that's disgusting.
It was probably the worst request I've ever had
And
to make coffee.
She goes to different planetary deers all around and asks that and probably gets
probably the same look
reaction.
that I gave her. Yeah.
And she still confidently owns it and buys it. And
like literally, if she had just walked around,
did you actually see her drink it?
Yes, because she literally she turned around, took a sip, and walked away. And I just went, I need water. Like I need like a gallon of water after seeing that.
No, absolutely not.
That was
because I've had people order some weird shit, but I've had people order just like a bunch of chai so that they could then go home and make their own chais, and
that's fair.
fine.
That's valid.
And that's good. But to just order that much of a syrup concentrate and to just drink it straight is disgusting. The amount of caffeine alone in that would just knock you around, but just that's disgusting. And it's just room temperature. It's just room temperature. Oh, that's disgusting. That's so.
I have no more stories from Planetary Deer other than a fun one that you and I got to do and scare some of the book floor people, like Sandy.
Did we scare book floor people?
Well, okay, we were we were cleaning out all the expired syrups, and we found it was either strawberry or raspberry. It was unopened, and we're like, hang on.
The dinosaur noise indicates that this is a good story.
We're like, hang on. Let's make this a keeper of a memory.
For
I remember-
context, this syrup is just bright red.
so red.
This raspberry syrup is just bright freaking red, and it stains.
So I literally said, Misty, put your hand over the sink.
Mhm.
So she did. And I just poured that syrup from like a good angle above her hand onto her hand, and it blood splatter onto like the
It's
back of the sink.
everywhere.
On the
Oh,
sink.
It's all over my hand, my arm, the sink, like in the sink. It's everywhere.
Picture, and I posted it, and I said 911 cafe emergency. One of the girls on the book floor, she's upstairs in the children's section. She comes running down. She's like, "Oh my god, what happened?" I'm like, What happened?" She's like, "Who blood? So much blood." I'm like, "Oh, you mean the syrup?"
There was no context in that post. It was just that image in like on his nightmare of a state.
Oh my god. I had so much fun doing that.
Honestly, it still pops up in like my Facebook memories. It's like
Mhm.
7 years ago. You did that. You're like,
You'll
yeah.
have to post it the next time you see it. I want to see this.
Oh, I can find it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, because she definitely still has the image. I think I have the image somewhere too. Because that was it was. It looks so realistic. It was just like, yeah, I can understand why that lady freaked out. Because like, yeah,
So great.
it just looks like I lost a whole hand.
Oh my
So
god.
fucking great.
Oh yeah, it was. Oh, it was something special.
All right. That is the
Like,
rest of my retail. You can continue on that note, and once we get back around, I have. It's not an office store. I'll save that one for later, but I have one that's just gonna make y'all go, "Ah!"
I love that noise.
Well, that kind of turns me on.
That
Now
was
I know.
All right, that should be. All right, I will start this round with one of my only Pennsylvania stories. Worked at a nice, a nice store. A lot of old people for regulars and everything. Most of them were pretty chill. Some of them were kind of weird, but whatever. Except for one guy.
Oh,
He was really weird.
Is
Um,
this the
he-
racist one?
mhm.
Okay.
So this guy he looks older than any mummy ever found in Egypt. He
Yep.
looks truly awful.
Oh no.
And he likes to come in and he likes to order tea. And one of the like ways that they teach you to make tea in mugs, because he only wanted it in a mug, and it had to be in a mug, and it had to be his mug, and that was it. Just very specific tea instructions for his hot tea.
Like
Which
he
is
brought
fine.
his own mug, or
Yeah, he would bring his own like mug or thermos or whatever.
okay.
So when we put it like if it wasn't in his thermos, it was in a mug with like an actual handle. And the thing that they teach you at Planetary Deer is when you have the little string and it has this little tab on the end of it that
Mhm.
tells you what kind of tea it is. You loop it around the handle, just one little loop,
Mhm.
and so it doesn't the whole
Sink into the
bag just
bottom,
doesn't
yeah.
fall
Yeah.
into the tea, which is fine. And in all honesty, very helpful.
Mhm.
So he orders this tea from me. It is literally just me, and it's one of my other coworkers. For the record, both me and my other coworker, very white, very very white, both white. Okay, this is important because
Mel.
I make Mel was the other one there, and she was our cafe manager.
She's tiny.
So it's just
too.
me. She's very tiny. She's just me and my cafe manager. And so I make this dude his tea, and I do the loop with the string over the handle so it doesn't fall. And he gets super pissed. He comes back
The
and
world
he's
is
just
ending.
like the whole world had just ended. And he's like, I can't get this string undone. And no. And he's like, why do you guys keep doing this? And like, no. And
Literally,
he's
you
so
do.
so mad that this string was looped over the handle so that it wouldn't fall in. And
You'll literally just apply an ounce of pressure and that thing will snap.
or
But if he was
just
older than the oldest mummy, he would make his little dusty finger.
Emotep.
you could just flip it over. Like it's just
That
There's
too.
that too.
it's just not that complicated. And so like he's freaking out to the point that my cafe manager walks up. She's like, "Sir, it's just the way that we do it. We just do it so that we don't touch the tea bag itself, and we don't get like our hands in your tea and anything like that." And he's just like,
sanitary.
"Yeah, like for sanitary purposes." He's like, "Well,
This
it's
is
better than me."
completely rational.
Oh, absolutely,
Functioning,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like so, and she's like, "I can undo it for you," and he's like, "Well, I'd rather you have your hands in my tea than those damn Armenians."
What?
Just out of fucking nowhere, and I'm just like,
I wish I was there for this.
Specifically Armenians?
Yeah, specifically my people.
and
Yeah.
just only
Probably referring
the
to you.
only
No, I'm kidding.
people he mentioned is Armenians, and I'm just like, and I know that like that Ani's Armenian, and I'm just like, I'm like, she's not here. I'm like, it's just me and Belle, and we're both very white, and I'm just like, why, what? And I'm just staring at him, and my cafe manager is just staring at him like, what?
Those
What
damn
the fuck? Where
Armenians.
did this come from?
By the way, this is the same regular that went to graffiti tag the local high school with high schoolers.
Yes, yes, he did. He graffitied a high school with local high schoolers, got arrested, and thrown in jail. And when they asked him why he did it, he said because he didn't like the high school. He was in jail for a year.
At 1,005 years old?
Yes. And like that's why eventually he quit coming to the store because he was just in jail. But like in that day when he says this, and I'm just staring at him, and Mel is just staring at him, and just like it's just like not registering what he's saying as I'm just staring at him. He turns around and takes his tea and is just yelling and cursing and swearing as he walks around the cafe before he picks a table. And we're just staring at him like, what the fuck do you do with that? And I'm just like, and I remember like talking to Mel, and I'm just like, has he said things like that before? And she's like, I don't think so. And I remember telling Ani about it because I'm like, I want her to know this because if he comes up to her with like and says anything
With just hate against me,
yeah,
I'll
and
be like,
just
what
hate
did I
and
do?
racism. And
Oh,
like,
I exist. I'm sorry, I exist.
I don't even know if he knew you were Armenian or not. And I'm just like, I was thinking about it like as like he's like walking around the cafe and just screaming like I have to make sure I tell her because this guy could be dangerous and violent and because he's already loud and crazy and just screaming as he walks around. But it didn't really matter because not long after that he got arrested and thrown in
He got
jail for
arrested.
graffitiing a high school with some high schoolers.
There was
So.
another regular who was harmless, but he would pee on all the couches.
Yeah, we didn't have any like
What?
soft furniture. Yeah,
Wait,
we
that's
didn't
not
have.
harmless. That
Like
is a
he
health hazard.
Health hazard, yes, but like he wasn't
Yes.
like coming at me like I hate your people or I hate your kind or like with a
Yeah,
knife. It was just more
okay.
like I'm here for my iced coffee. We'll go sit down on a nice couch and then it'd be like, why?
Yeah, we didn't have any like plush furniture with like any kind of cushion or anything with it because of that man and only because of that man. Everything else was hard metal and steel, no wood, like just metal. Yeah, because
Wait,
it was
I
disgusting.
mean, couldn't he be arrested for dropping trow in a public place? And
He wouldn't drop
Oh no,
trow.
right through his
Right
foot
through
clothes.
his pants.
Oh, no.
Yeah, right through
Wait,
everything.
no, he
Yeah.
would just like.
Just sit
Yeah.
down and just let it go.
Are you sure it wasn't a jackass stunt?
No, it was just,
He was also ancient.
he was
so.
also ancient. Heavy set ancient, like I want to say like late 40s.
Okay, late 40s is not ancient.
No,
no,
it's
no.
not.
No, I don't know if we're thinking about the same person because
Oh,
the
we're
guy who was
not?
doing that was super thin and at least his mid.
Then no, I'm thinking of somebody else. 'Cause I'm thinking of someone who's super big.
No, this guy was really
Okay.
tall, but he was very thin, and he was at
Okay,
least in his 60s.
different person, but yeah, I never met this one. I never met this one then that did the peeing.
I'm
The
pretty
fear.
sure. I'm pretty sure he did because he had dark hair. He always sat by himself, like those people who played chess. He was always sitting like not too far from them, but not like in talking to them once in a while. But I feel like you've seen him. He always ordered like a tall coffee or something like that. But honestly, I don't remember his name or anything like that. So
I don't remember him at all. Like I'm
that's
thinking like, in
fair.
my head,
I
I'm
blocked
thinking of
out
somebody
most of.
else.
I blocked out most of those people
Just
who worked
sat
there.
down
So.
and took a pee on
Yeah,
the
just
couch.
sat there and just
And would
pissed
just
his
sit in it.
pants.
And would
Yeah,
just
he just
sit
sit
in
in
it.
He wouldn't pee and walk away. He'd pee and sit there.
And then like walk around a little bit. He just didn't really care. It was really disgusting. really disgusting. That's why we didn't have any plush furniture. We just got rid of all of it, and we told him, like, look, you need to get your shit together, because what the hell?
Purchase some diapers.
Yeah.
Do something.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. So that is, I think, all of my Pennsylvania stories. So now we can dive into more of Florida.
All right. You want to continue with? Are you going to continue with more Florida, or do you want Aaron to go?
I'll do one.
Yeah, let her.
Florida
Yeah,
one.
All right.
one Florida one. Because the last thing I was going to talk about is like literally from like my last week's there. So.
Okay.
All right. We'll do one of my favorite instances, mostly just because I got to be a bitch and I enjoyed it. The proposal story.
Oh.
So, my coworker and I are working together, and she's about my age, and I think at the time we're both about 25-ish, 24, 25-ish, or whatever. And we're both working there, and the baristas here get hit on so much. Most of us, at some point or another, owned a fake engagement ring to wear because you just get hit on a lot. And most of the time, it's in a really creepy, overly aggressive sexual way.
Ew.
And
Yeah.
she was one of these people, and that owned one of the fake engagement rings and everything like that. And so, but like that just tells you how often this kind of stuff happened. At this
Horrible.
time that she, like they didn't wear it all the time, but a lot of times we would just keep it in our pocket in case like it got like really creepy or weird.
Mm-hmm.
So one of these times that we were very busy, and my coworker, I will say, she's very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
But in all honesty, it doesn't fucking matter because it was what happened was just creepy, and she could have been anyone, and it just wouldn't have fucking mattered because this was creepy. But because she's pretty, she gets the brunt of a lot of the creepy
Of
people that
course.
come into our place. Like she's definitely gotten stalked before.
Mm.
And so we're there, and she is on the register because we have a huge line of people, and she is on the register, and I am on the espresso machine, like I'm making drinks, literally probably 2 feet from her. We're both facing out at the cafe because both the register and the espresso machines are on like the same block counter.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's about 2 feet from me, and I'm just standing pretty much just right next to the open counter space next to her, and I'm making drinks and she's taking orders or whatever. And like just in the middle of this huge rush that we're having, this guy like is in line, and he comes up to her and he orders his drink, and he's just staring at her with like this super intensity of staring at her. And I'm like, I'm watching him out of the corner of my eye because I'm like, he's really just staring at her. So he's just looking at her, and like she finishes taking his order, and he pays for it, and he doesn't move, and he's just staring at her. And he looks at her with this super intense look on his face. He's like, do you think if we got married in 2 weeks it'd be too soon? And like
I don't
she's
know
just kind of
you.
she's just kind of for the record, neither of us have ever seen this man before in our lives. And so we're looking at him, and like I'm kind of looking at him in the corner of my eye, and she's just staring at him, and she just doesn't know what to say to that. And I laugh, and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure, like trying to play it off as a joke, so like maybe he'll leave. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure 2 weeks is like way too soon. And he leans forward a bit and looks at her, and he's like, no, I'm serious. Is 2 weeks too soon?
Bruh.
Yeah, and at that point, like
All I know is your coffee order.
Yeah, and I'm just like, she doesn't know his name. She's never seen this person before, and neither have I. And like I stop making the drink, and I kind of lean over a little bit to like be like next to her, and I'm like, yeah, pretty sure that's too soon. And then I just turn to the person who's in line behind him, who's staring at this guy like, what the heck was that? And I just like, what can I get for you? And like, and this person, bless this person, because this person just steps directly up to the counter and is ready to push this dude out of the way to just starts giving their order. So the guy reluctantly has to like shuffle down. So I'm making orders, and like I'm watching him like out of the corner of my eye, and I'm just like keeping an eye on him, and he's like kind of like circling over towards the end of the counter waiting. And like I hand him his drink, and like I call it out, and we get through the line, and I'm watching him because he's just walking around in circles around the cafe, doing like laps. Well, he's like doing laps around the cafe, and like then he'll do little zigzags. The whole time he is watching her, the whole time. And I'm watching him watch her, and she notices that he's watching her because I point out to her, I was like, he is still here. And so like it doesn't matter where, but because she won't go out
past the
dining
counter.
room. Yeah, like she's not gonna go out into the dining room, like absolutely not. So I'm watching him watch her, and it doesn't matter where she's going, like behind the counter, because our counter area was very thin, but it was extremely long,
Mhm.
and so it doesn't matter where she's going back and forth and doing, like what she needs to do for
She
work.
should have just
He is
gone into the kitchen,
watching
into
her.
the dishes, and be like, "I'm not leaving."
And yeah, well,
Mhm.
like, and she goes back there and like, and he like kind of like just hovers a little bit and like as she's just trying to do her job. And I'm
Mhm.
standing there and I'm still like finishing up some drinks or whatever. And as we don't really have anyone, like I watch him take the lid off of his cup and like he starts walking towards us because we don't have any customers.
No.
She sees him and we have a very large bake case that has all of our baked goods. And if you
Mhm.
stand there, it comes up past your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a huge block between you and like the front of like the cafe area. And right next to that is like the lower counter where all of our registers and like the espresso
Mhm.
machines and everything is. She immediately just walks there and like starts like ducking down, so like pretending she's messing with the case. And he beelines directly for where
Oh,
she
come
is.
on!
And I am already moving by the time I see him start to move. And he puts his drink on top of the bake case because it's a flat surface on top. And he's trying to look over because he's not quite like tall enough to see like over because she's crouched, just like actually just crouched down on the ground and not
No.
moving where
Poor
he
girl
can't
is
see
just
her.
like, please let there be a cartoon style black hole to just swallow me.
Yeah, and like he puts his drink on top of the bake case and he's like, "I want you to put the lid back on my cup."
No!
And I'm looking at him and I just immediately I just step right between where he can see her. And I'm like, "Hi, can we help you?" And he's like, "I want her to put the lid back on my cup." And I was like, "Well, I can do that for you if you'll give me your lid." He's like, "No, I want her to put the lid back on my cup."
No,
He
And I
thank you,
puts the
sir.
know,
lotion in the basket.
I know
and
it's
well,
it's
I know in
creepy.
this moment that because he drank from it, he wants her to touch where he put his lips and where he's going to put his lips again. Because it
It
is,
touched
yeah.
it puts the lotion on its skin or it gets the hose again.
And it's just like that's so disgusting. So but I look at him and I'm like, "You want the lid back on it?" And I put my hand out for the lid and he's like, "I want her to do it." And so like he's handing it to me like to give to her. And I take the cup and I take the lid and I put it back on and I hand it to him. And I'm like, "Is there anything else we can do for you?" And he's just staring at me with just so much fucking hate.
Thank you,
And
bye
I
bye,
just
have a good day.
lean. Yeah, and I'm just leaning against the bait case with just this biggest shit eating grin I can. And I'm like, is there anything else I can do for you? And we just have a
Mhm.
staring contest for a solid 30 seconds of him just trying to see if I will leave so he can get to her. And I'm like, I'm not fucking moving. And she is the entire time just crouched right there. And it's just like so that he cannot see her. And I'm just having a staring contest. And this man is so pissed. He's so pissed. And he's like, and then just after about 30 seconds, he's like, no, and just takes his drink and he just storms off. And just as he gets like the boundary of where like the store becomes like the cafe and the store become one again, he stops and he turns around because he's expecting me to have like moved or whatever. Because he stops and he like looks, and I'm just leaning against the register and I just wave. I'm like,
Wave.
hi. And she still hasn't moved because I had just like below the register, like eye level. I've just pointed at her, just like just stay there,
No.
just stay there. And he just turned, and he's so pissed, but he storms out and he walks out. And I look at her and I'm like, just out of curiosity, have you ever met that man before? She's like, never in my life have I seen that person before.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh
Honestly, I
god.
will say I have played games of two truths and a lie, and I've won every round using stories that I've had in this experience because people never expect these stories to be true.
Now, I mean, I since you're obviously defender of all womankind here, and a true hero, I'm guessing you probably walked her out after shift or
Oh yeah, we leave together. Like when we
good.
close and
Okay.
stuff like
I
that,
mean,
we always leave together, yeah.
I expect no less, but
Oh yeah.
but
Absolutely. Yeah, there we don't as actually because of the violence that has happened at our store and in like the shopping plaza, no one is allowed to go to their vehicle alone.
oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I
Between
mean,
the
that's
robberies,
horrible that that
the
is a thing,
gunfire.
The
but
bomb threat.
kudos to I don't know if it's your management or just an employee sticking together thing, but that's good.
Yeah, like we weren't allowed for the most part to leave with any less than two people. And if it was like two like women, especially the ones that worked in the cafe because we were always usually younger, um usually somebody like one of the managers would go with you. So, or at least like we had to park in a certain very specific area with a viewpoint from like the front doors to where our vehicles were so that if we were leaving earlier than other people they could watch. So,
I am horrified.
yeah. Yeah. I really wish um
Oh,
those.
but why do you worry, girls? Why?
Oh, yeah, why do you worry? What's wrong? It's not like the
Men aren't
same.
that bad.
Why do
Have you
you
been
carry
listening?
mace?
Yeah. So I will just add on to this because it's not one of my actual stories I have written down. But this chick, she did eventually move, and so she quit, and she came back to visit us one day because she just came into town. 'Cause she didn't move that far; she moved a couple
Mhm.
hours away. She came back to visit us one day, and she's there, and one of our regulars who I'd seen a lot, and he's like, "Oh, I see, she's back." And I'm like, "Well, yeah." And it's like, I didn't realize, like, she left and, like or, like, where she went, and she's like, "Do you know where she went?" And I'm like
No.
and, like, it just, like, sent off a little red flag, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"No, no," I was like, "I do know that she moved because she's getting married, though." She wasn't. And I'm just like and he's like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Yeah, her and her wife are really happy." And he's just kind of, like, looking at me, but he kept, like, looking at her and, like, asking questions about her, and I'm just, like, just deflecting with absolute lies. And one of the only
Married,
moments
white,
in
you
which
got no chance.
yeah, one of the only moments in which I respected my cafe manager is he and her were very good friends, and they were standing by the doors to leave, and he was talking to her, and he was looking in the parking lot while he was talking to her, and this same regular is sitting in his car watching her through the windows. Just sitting
Oh.
there staring at her, and he wouldn't let her leave. He's like, "No, don't leave until he leaves." And then he's like, "And then we'll walk you to your car." And he did. And so it's the only time I had respect for him. But absolutely told her, "It's like, you can't leave. Not right now. Not with that." Because like he's like, it wouldn't have been a big
Yeah.
deal except for the fact that they were standing there for like more than 15 minutes, and this guy was there the whole time. And it's just like, no, he's been there the whole time we've been talking, watching you. It's like, absolutely not.
God, I hate
So,
people.
yeah. Yeah. A lot of my stories involve some kind of harassment, actually.
It's
So
Yeah.
Florida.
I
that's
think
fun.
you've listed off several things that
Yeah.
definitely charges could have been filed.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
more.
Oh, yeah. There's so many more. Some of them, not all of them are those types of stories, like the bomb and like the stealing and the drunkenness. But like, yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I guess that's me.
That is
Yep.
you.
All right, so this kind of is my wrap up on it because that my job at the insurance company put me in therapy because I was so stressed all the time. I was having imaginary arguments every night as I was trying to go to bed. I mean, I was having imaginary arguments all day long in the shower, whatever.
Hmm.
Just rage. I mean, and like I was having fits of crying during the day. Me and my bestie at work, Lene, would trade crying fits because of just the shit these people piled on us at all times. Um, Therapy, medication. I started getting massages regularly because I carry all my stress in my shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
and just I was full on mess. So then an angel from heaven from a past job uh, said, "Hey, I've got this gig at my job. I think you'd be a great fit." I fucking jumped on that application,
Yeah.
and we are 7 months out, and
Yeah, we're going strong.
going strong. My life is completely different. But so
Good.
in in the last 2 weeks, because I am a fucking schmoo, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give them 2 weeks. Like I asked my new employers to give my old employer 2 weeks of my time of my life to help them out.
That makes sense.
Yeah, like you, I took the time, I mean hours and hours, writing manuals on how to do the simplest of things that I did.
Mm.
I trained because we had hired a couple of new people right before I left.
Mm-hmm.
So I was training them, to do the job in coordination with these manuals. I must have wrote 5. I mean, on basic things that we were doing. I mean, and I even took the time not only to write it step by step, but I was doing screenshots with like circling things and like, this is
Yep.
what I'm talking about, motherfucker. And then
Just like so simple, you're teaching a baby ABCs.
yes, and it's some of it like when you're coming in cold, I can understand, you know, not understanding all the systems, but I'm pretty sure these manuals were for my boss.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Because she had no clue. So I'm putting in all this effort, and of course, so at the time I left, my unofficial position was, I mean, I was obviously a financial planning assistant. That was my main title, but I was also the workflow manager,
That was your
which
title. That's right.
which is a fancy way of saying I divvied up the emails and I assigned things to people.
I had a
Alright.
job where it was another translation company. It was in Philly, and they interviewed me as proofreader. I apparently didn't get it right, even though I am an English bachelor's degree and a master's in publishing. I was not qualified to be a proofreader. So they made a position for me, and they called it the save and sender, which is basically workflow manager.
Mhm.
I would get emails from clients that I had to divvy
Save
up between the
sender.
the project teams, and then I would have to send out to clients from project managers that on projects that were done. Yeah,
That's so weird.
they called me the save and sender.
Great.
That is so weird.
The
The worst job title.
yeah, that's well, actually, I might be able to do you one better because the person who was receptionist after me, I don't know if someone gave her this title. Again, she did not know how to use the computer at all. I mean, she broke this computer within 3 weeks.
Oh my god!
I mean, it was
What?
she bricked it in 3 weeks. Anyway,
How?
please God, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if someone gave her this title because she was stupid or if she made it up because she was stupid, but I think these words were too hard for her. One day I noticed in her email signature it suddenly said director of first impressions.
What?
Yeah, director of first impressions. She was the receptionist.
You're not directing anything.
No. So that's why I'm saying is I don't know if they like gave her a pity title or if she came up with this on her own. But again, I don't think she could string those words together. Anyway, I digress.
I
Director
don't
of
know what to
first
do with that
impressions.
information. I don't.
Neither did I. Anyway, so as workflow manager, okay, so we had all kinds of applications. And it would be good context to let you guys know that like when I started in the financial planning team, there were 3 of us on the team and about 15 reps.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we each met with probably like essentially 5 of them. Mm-hmm. By the time I left, there were 5 of us on the team and over 60 reps that we were supposed to do all their back end work.
Mm-hmm.
That has like doubled, tripled,
quadrupled.
And
of course,
people,
my stress, of course, has gone up like this. And it got really hard because that by the end of my tenure, we had more people doing applications. So I kept an Excel file, and it wasn't like a super complicated one, but it was basically just who I had assigned what applications to, because insurance, you know, it's not just it's not just Bob Smith. It's Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith, dependents, what, you know, extended family. So it could be, and like everybody, like the working adults could have life and disability. Then if you've got 3 kids, I mean, it's adds up really fast. So I had this, again, not super elegant but super functional spreadsheet where I kept track of it, and it's like, okay, teammate A has this, teammate B has this, blah 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 blah. I set aside some for myself, whatever. So in my wrap up, you know, I went through all of this with my boss, like all of these, everything. Like I went through all of it with her, went through all of it with the trainees, and then, so I mean, and I'd done a lot of little things like this with the organization and trying to make things actually flow. And
as per your title,
as per my title, which did not accompany money,
of course not.
And so I thought, being a Virgo, I'm like, my organization must be appreciated, right? My bestie appreciated it
Mhm.
because it helped us both, pin some shit on someone who fucked around a lot. No, that was assigned to her.
No, it wasn't. It says it on my sheet.
Yes, I put it in her inbox. um,
Best noise this podcast has had, by the way.
I don't know if that was a goat or what, but cheers. So, uh, so then my friend Lene, who again is best person at that company, she tells me that she's been, she doesn't give a fuck. She tells me exactly what my boss is saying in these meetings leading up to me leaving, and like, so this spreadsheet got mentioned. Well, that's the way Aaron did it. We don't have to do it the way Aaron did it.
Well, guess what? The way Aaron did it worked.
I did have the pleasure of knowing that immediately after I left,
It crumbled.
it did crumble.
Internally, it just started crumbling.
Good.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, like, people were not sure of who was doing what. People, clearly didn't pay attention when I was teaching them things. They were, again, two of these people were new. So, like, it was 2 seasoned people and 2 new people. So I understand that everyone knew there was going to be some trouble, but there's that. And then another thing that my boss said behind my back is in her fake corporate voice. She said, I love Aaron, but this is probably our opportunity to get someone less anxious.
Yeah, she said that.
Ooh.
because I had been open with my boss that I was going to therapy to deal with my anxiety.
It's like, listen, I'm letting you know that I have anxiety issues.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like my HR boss, my HR manager boss, and then she fucking like. Now I know she knows that Linnea and I talked all the time, but also that's deeply unprofessional.
Very
to
unprofessional.
be revealing my
Yeah.
anxiety issues to somebody. Because if it had been someone else on the team that I didn't talk to all the time, you're revealing if that's a HIPAA thing, and we talked about HIPAA all the goddamn time. And so
everything about this company is just a shit show.
Apparently, Jesus.
And so, yeah, but an opportunity to get someone less anxious. And I'm like, my anxiety kept this shit afloat.
Yeah.
Like, and I swear to God, like it didn't completely crumble, and I don't know the full extent of it, but there was weeks, Lene told me, of people going, well, I didn't have to do this when Aaron was around.
Because Aaron was the one doing it.
Yeah, because I would just sweep in and fix things, and nobody had to actually cope with anything, or like I'd pick things up and just do them because I had access to the team email, so I would just act on things before I'd even delegate it. Or Aaron didn't make me do this, or Aaron always took care of that, or da-da-da-da. And like I think Lene said she had to say it like 100 times to different people, like, well, that was Aaron, she's not here,
Aaron has left the building,
and I'm just like,
now you all are fucked.
Yeah. Sorry.
Not sorry.
Not really, no.
Sorry, not sorry.
It did give me the jollies.
Good.
The jollies.
Because just like, I didn't have to do that when Aaron, that's because Aaron had a brain. Showed me her emails a month after I quit, and there was literally an email from that day, something about Aaron used to do this for me.
Wow.
So, congratulations, but then guess what? There's no Aaron in this roster of employees anymore. Your bitching and whining has no place here.
Aaron took all her fucks with her.
There
Bye. And that concludes my life at the insurance company.
That's fair.
To be insulted on the way out.
I did. You can have nightmares about that. All right. To wrap this lovely story up, I will tell one more Castles and Poor People story.
All right. Yeah.
The only person I know who has better works Castles and Poor People stories than I do was one of my managers, and she has done everything from finding bodies to finding people to who have been having sex with the floor grates and stuff like that. So
wait, sex with the floor grates?
Yeah. He took the little drain in the bathroom.
No. No.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
No.
I should have
So
expected a he, but my mind went to she, and I'm like, are you
I-
just
That's-
grinding against the fucking floor grate? Like,
apparently our store for like a really long time was a really popular glory hole spot in the women's bathroom.
Probably putting it through the books too.
Probably, yeah, honestly. All right. So we will do
Desecration.
wine. We'll do wine and chain, dude. So one of
Mm.
the things to know about this particular Castles and Poor
Oh,
People is
God.
because it's right next to downtown, we get all the fucking crazy people.
Mhm.
And because of that, our store for a little while had a security guard, which was really nice to have. It didn't have it for very long when I was there. I think it only had him for the first year. But it was really nice to have and super fucking necessary. And then they decided they didn't want to pay him anymore, so then we don't have one. On one of the times that I am working a night shift, which is like the store closes at like 10 or something stupidly late. Like nobody needs a book and a coffee at 10 o'clock at night. You just don't.
I'm sorry. You
So-
must not be a reader. No, I'm kidding.
Nobody needs a book and a coffee at 10 o'clock at night downtown where we have had actual shootings in the parking lot before.
I revoke my previous statement.
Like, I will take a
There we
coffee
go.
and a book in the comfort of my living room
Yes.
at 10
There
o'clock
you
at
go.
night.
I will
Get it?
probably order something from Amazon at 10 o'clock at night. Like,
Right?
it'll be here.
There you go. There you go.
Sorry,
Um,
brick and mortar stores.
Honestly, they're aware. And there's just the one left. So it's aware. So me and my coworker, who is also a girl, as most of them were, and she's very small. She's about my age, and we're working, and it's pretty late. It's probably almost 9, if not 9 o'clock, and we're there, and we're getting ready to close, and we're like cleaning everything up, and there's just not that many people around, and there's this guy who's just sitting like in the dining room, and I'd seen him, and like I registered that he was there because there just weren't that many people in the dining room, and but it, like he didn't come up to the counter or anything like that. I went on a 15-minute break, and I came back, and I walked by him, and he was cleaning a spill up from the floor. And if anybody has been to a Planetary Deer, you'll know that of their iced teas, one of them is bright red.
Oh, yeah.
And there was this massive bright red puddle on the floor that was clearly some kind of drink because it wasn't blood, like that was obvious. But I had walked by it, and I was gonna go like get the mop and everything, and I just turned because I had noticed that he hadn't ordered anything, and I didn't see a cup. And so I turned to my coworker and I said, "Did you sell that guy one of our teas?" And she's like, "No." And I said, "He has a lot of liquid all over the floor." And she leans over, and she's like looking into the dining room, and this guy just has like 3 little napkins, and he's just trying to clean up this gigantic puddle. And I'm just like, this is
Sounds
kind
like
of
a fan.
weird. Yeah. And I'm just like, this is a little weird. And to clarify, this guy is probably early 50s, wearing jeans, like a raggedy looking shirt, and like a leather vest. And like he looks like just like he doesn't shower. But like on purpose. Like not like a homeless way, but like an on purpose kind of a way. So I'm like, okay. So like and like kind of like biker adjacent. Like he's not hardcore enough to be a biker, but he looks like he
He
probably
wants to
wanted
look
to be.
like
It's
he's cool.
yeah. So and I'm like, okay. So I take a rag and like I start cleaning the tables like not too far from it because I'm a little suspicious at this point. When I get within 10 feet of him, I can smell it. It's definitely alcohol. And it just hits you in the face because of how much alcohol is all over the floor. And so like I take a step. Our cafe has these giant round tables, and he was sitting at one, and there was a table between him and I because I didn't approach his table. I stood on the table like on the other side of him, and I'm like, "Do you need help?" Because at this point, I'm aware that there's just nothing but wine in like a 5x5 puddle on my floor. And he's like, no, no, no. And he just puts his hands up like it's just trying to stop a racing car or something like that. He's like, no, 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 no. I've got it. I've got it. No, I don't want you
Like
to touch
you can't
it.
smell it.
Sir,
Yeah.
your
And he's like,
napkins are not
yeah.
working.
And he just comes over and he takes like a giant stack of our thin little itty bitty like napkins, and he just throws them everywhere. And I'm like,
Sir, these napkins are
I
meant
can
to
get a mop. Yeah, like I can get him. He's like, no, 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 absolutely not. Like, no, no. And he's just so adamant I don't go anywhere near it. And like I'm standing there because he's just not cleaning it up. He's just getting napkins everywhere. And I'm like, sir, and he's like, no, I don't want any. Like, I have not approached him anymore, but I'm just like trying to offer solutions and like offer to help. And then so he unclips from his belt loop twice, and he pulls out a chain that is probably 8 feet long, and it's super thick, and it has on each end these two giant round like keyring kind of things, but they're solid and they're round.
Oh hell
And he
no.
looks at me and he's like, no, no, no. And he pulls it out, and I've backed it, and he starts swinging it around
Like a bowl.
over his head, and just like walking around like, so he's like, no, 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 I've got this whole area, like I've got this. And he's swinging it around, and like obviously I have backed the fuck up. And my coworker, who was behind the counter, is watching all of this, and we had headsets, and she's just on the headset. She's like, "We need help. We need. There's a dude, and he's just swinging a chain around, and like the only couple of customers that are in there are like getting up, and they're leaving, and he's just standing there, just swinging this massive fucking chain around, as he's walking
Everybody,
around in circles around his puddle, like he's claiming the territory." And I'm
everybody with
just
a
like,
headset is just hearing help, help, help.
yeah, pretty much. And she's just like, "Oh, yeah, no, what the fuck?" She's like, this dude, and there's wine, and like there's this giant chain, and she's just like freaking out, and she's just staring at this, and I have just backed it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. You can just do what
You
you
can
want.
have your puddle of wine.
Yeah, and I like the customers have left. I went back behind the counter, and like her and I are just standing as far away from him as we could get. And my my manager at the time, who was there, is was a massive dude. He's very, very tall, and he's like a big dude. He's also one of the nicest people on the planet. But he comes over and he's like, "What's going on?" And I said, "Well, he's this guy spilled a fuck ton of wine all over the floor, and then decided to swing a chain around at us." And he's like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, all of that is on the floor is not one of our drinks. That is alcohol, and you can absolutely smell it when you walk over." So he took like a couple steps towards the guy, and you could just smell it, because it's really just starting to spread across the cafe at this point. And so he goes and gets the security guard, who is just this old dude who just doesn't know, like, just no.
Oh no.
And they tell the guy, it's like, "Sir, you have to leave. You have alcohol. You can't have alcohol in the store. You have to leave." And like they're not standing very close to him, and like he kind of like there's a lot of give and take, and we're just watching him. But the guy eventually decides he's gonna leave. All right, he's
Mhm.
gonna leave, and I'm like, good. And so they walk him out, and they tell him, you obviously you can't come back. You just spilled wine all over our floor and threatened a bunch of people with a chain. If you leave now, we won't call the cops. Just don't come back.
Mhm.
And in all honesty, the cops, they just know the store. They just know our number, and they're just like, "Well, yeah, we're already on our way," whenever you call them. So, like, the guy leaves, and, like, we have to clean it up, which I do, and it takes fucking forever because there's a bunch of napkins and there's wine everywhere. And as I've finished cleaning it up, and, like, I had to clean the mop up and everything, and I'm standing in the dining room and I'm cleaning, and I just happened to look up, and at the shelves over towards the side, I see him again.
Oh no.
Oh god.
And I see him put something on the shelf, and then I saw him walk away, because like the security had seen him, and like, you need to leave.
Uh-huh.
And because you came back, you need to leave. So he leaves. And I'm just like, I saw him put something on that shelf. So I walk over to the shelf just to look, and
No.
there's the bottle of wine
Nah.
sitting in between some books on a shelf. And I'm like, fuck. So I went and I put like a glove on so I could pick it up, and I like called my manager, and I'm like, I it's his property, and so I don't want to just throw it away, but I can't just leave it on the shelf either, and I'm definitely not going to touch it with anything other than this glove. So I call my manager and was like, "You just need to come back here. You just need to come back." And so he comes back, and I'm just holding this bottle of wine. And he's like, "What the fuck is happening?" And I said, "Yeah, he left the bottle of wine here." And he, for somebody who looks like he doesn't have more than $5 to his name, it looks like he bought a very expensive bottle of like German wine or something. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, okay,
Okay.
nice taste in wine, I guess. Not that I actually know what good wine is, but hey.
Mhm.
Um, and so I'm just holding it. And so my manager takes it. And then the guy comes back again for
Oh
the third time.
god.
Does he go
And
looking
he's
for
like,
the wine?
he is looking for the wine.
Okay.
Because there's still wine left in it. He's like, I want my wine back. And he's like, I paid for the wine. I want the wine back. He's like, I'll leave. I just want my alcohol. So obviously we give him the
Why?
wine back. And he's like, sir, at this point, you are just never allowed to come back, because you came back 3 fucking times
Mhm.
looking for this like wine and spilling it and threatening people with a chain. And he says, that's fair. and like he's good with that. He's okay with the fact that he's been banned from the store, and he leaves. But yeah, so that was the time I was threatened with a chain over wine.
Oh my god.
Now,
Spilled wine. Spilled wine.
spilled wine. I have to ask: have you ever, while working on the book floor, come across anything weird in books?
Not
Like a
really.
greasy napkin with between the pages of a book, or a slice of cheese between the books,
Sabrina
or a
found
cookie.
cheese. Oh no, she
Yeah,
found grilled cheese.
yeah,
She
that's
found
what
a
it was.
thing of
Sabrina
grilled
found the
cheese.
grilled cheese in a book.
Not really. I mean, I've found trash of like wrappers and stuff like that, but like
I
nothing
hate
like super
people.
weird.
I hate
Like
people
it's
So
usually
much.
like those like the whatever novels that are like they're wrapped in like the plastic wrap or whatever,
Mhm.
and people just take it off and just stuff it like in the book when they're done with it. But that's pretty much the only
Yeah.
things I haven't really found. I didn't work on the book floor like a whole lot, so
Mm.
you know.
Did you find anything weird on the book floor?
In Philly, they started to train me on the book floor
I remember that.
after me begging to be like, can you please cross train me on the book floor? Because when I applied for this job,
I wanted that.
my goal was to be book floor. The minute they saw cafe experience on my resume, they're like, cafe? I'm like, oh god, no.
It didn't even matter that you had barista experience. Nobody in the cafe actually applied for cafe. I didn't apply for cafe,
Yeah.
and I had no barista experience. But we were women and of a certain age, so they immediately put us in there because everyone who was a chick and of a certain age, for the most part, was in the cafe.
Because they're just like, oh, the book floor's full, but we need people in the cafe, so we're gonna put you there. But we will cross train you on the book floor.
No.
Months later, it's like, are you gonna cross train me? Fucking cross train me!
You asked so many times to be cross trained.
I did. And that
They
one
did
manager,
cross train you for a day
they cross trained
during
me
the
for like a
holidays
couple days during the holidays. They never
by
finished my
yourself.
cross training. Yeah, they threw me at the register holiday time. Everyone
By
in the
herself.
yeah, by myself. There's nobody else around. Everyone else is on the
No.
book floor helping people
No.
on the floor. I'm the only
Yep.
one at the register. And they're just like, yeah, here you go. Like, you know how to use the POS system at the cafe. You can do it here. I'm like, they're different items.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be standing there going, I'm trying to find all these fucking items on this POS system.
No.
Yeah, cafe has a menu, like a digital menu, but like the book floor doesn't. Like it's more of like actual register system, and then you have to have like there's all this different discount buttons. There's so many buttons.
So many buttons. And I'm just
So
like,
Castle and Poor People has just so many buttons on their register. It's stupid.
oh god. And they're just like, all right, we're gonna put you, at register. Go, go learn register. It's Christmas time.
Mhm.
I'm the only one behind the register, and there is a line of like 20 people. You can just feel
The hate.
not just the hate, the nervous breakdown happening
Yeah.
in my head, going, there's a line of people, they're all waiting for me
Mm-hmm.
to figure out how to do this shit.
Mhm. Yep.
Which is not helping you figure it out.
No, and then one
No.
of them came out with like, I want to pay for everything with gift cards. I'm just like,
No, no,
Oh.
no, no, no,
What I really hate was those people who are like, I have 4 different methods. I would like to use them all. And it's just like,
it's like,
yeah,
I
well,
don't
you
know how
can
much is on
fuck
this gift
off.
card, but I want to check. Oh, and this one, and this one, and this one. I'm like,
Yeah, it would just hand you like 6 gift cards. It's just like, okay.
all right, so your total is 110. Let's look at all 6 gift cards. There's $6 on this one. You want to keep it? I have to ask. Do you want to keep it?
Yeah, it was imperative that you asked them if they wanted to keep the empty gift card because people would throw fits.
There was literally only one time I wanted to keep the gift card. It had
like
a heart
most
effect on
people do, like most people when you ask them if they want to keep the empty gift card, they look at you weird because obviously not.
He's
Right.
like,
But like some people get real serious about it. Like, yes, I collect them, and I'm like, what?
my precious. It's like, there's like 2 cents on it. I want to keep it. Okay.
And
All right.
sometimes there's just nothing on it, and you're just like, you want to keep it, and they're like, I collect them, and I'm like, why?
Why?
It's just so weird. Just why?
How many
They're
registers
good.
has this thing touched? Like,
Yeah,
why
how
do you
many
want to keep
people
it?
have just gone through?
Mm,
Ugh.
mm.
But we have plenty of stories for
We
a
have
part
more.
2.
We have more.
So I've got everything from hiding with a knife to a bomb threat, to the porn dude. That was
I don't remember
fun.
the
I'd like to
porn
say that
dude.
was
Do I remember
fun.
the porn dude?
Yeah.
Oh god.
No, I don't that was a really long time ago. That was in my first year there, I think. So
What do I got?
Yeah.
I got a panic attack. So I have one of those. Um,
Mhm.
I've got I've got an old real estate. It's not a real estate company. What is it? Where Genie works? Like
Isn't it loans? No.
it's it's like ah
It's a financial thing.
yeah,
no?
it's a financial place. So like these places like own properties, and they own the leases to like all these places.
Oh gosh, what is
Yeah.
that called? I know what you mean, but
So it's like they own this plaza and like they own the leases to every building in there. Someone new comes and it's like, well, here's the lease you got, so all that stuff. So I have that
Okay.
run by nothing but old white men.
mhm.
Shit show. And I have I have a sewing machine story.
and
It
I
involves
I think I have
needles and blood.
yeah, yeah.
fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very fun. I think I have 9 more stories. So
Oh my
I
gosh.
I gotta find more
And I just
I
have
have
the joys of
candy, organic candy.
organic candy. Yes, I do have organic candy, and I have remedial college classes.
There you go.
The joys of
there you
teaching.
go.
The joys of teaching.
Yeah.
Joys is in parentheses.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so I think we certainly have enough for a part 2, and we can delight and horrify. So because in
Horrifying
all
is the more
honesty,
fun. Is the more fun part.
it is more fun, and in all honesty, like so many years of working, whether it's retail or otherwise, and it just makes you understand the people we've become a little better.
Yeah.
Yep. Like this is random thing I'm gonna throw in here, but like one of my biggest pet peeves is when people never get my name right.
Mm.
Even when I introduce myself, it's become a
Mhm.
thing now. It's second nature for me to spell my name when I meet
Yeah.
somebody.
Mm.
Hi, my name is Ani, A-N-I. Like it's just that is what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
I had a customer in New Orleans. Like, he's like, what's your name? I'm like, Ani. He's like, what is it? I'm like, Ani, A-N-I. He's like, honey? Guys, her name isn't. I'm like, it's fucking no!
Honey.
I had
I-
somebody who thought my name was Magic.
I don't know how they got there, but that's kind of cool.
Because on the name tag, we used to have like advertisements for like one of like the popular drinks going on, and it had a little ad that said every sip is magic, and the magic was in slightly bigger font, and they're like, "Is your name Magic? That's so cool." And like right next to it in actual like typed print of like a label is my name,
Yeah.
and it's not Magic, and I'm
We
just like,
had the most
no,
fun with our name tags working together because
that's
we
fair.
would leave our name tags in our lockers, and I would always come back with like some random last note and a doodle just in my note in my
Yeah,
name
yeah.
tag.
I
Same
did
with
that a
her.
lot.
I loved it.
Yeah.
But no, I went to a Shake Shack here, and there's like, all right, so, well, what's your name for the order? So I did the same thing. Said my name is Ani, A-N-I. I get my receipt. You know what this bitch wrote for my name?
Huh.
A-U-Y-N-E.
What?
Exactly.
I get Irwin a lot, so
On the phone, God forbid if I'm talking to anybody on the phone, it's like, what's your name? Ani, A-N-I. Oh, Connie, Lonnie, Bonnie? I'm like,
I get Karen too.
no. And the worst of all,
I
oh, your name is
got
Annie?
Ani once.
I will, no. My name is not Annie. I'm not some little redheaded orphan girl.
Mm-hmm.
No!
I actually have a story about your name because they called me, and it was one like somebody called me for a job reference for her, and it was for like the temp agency or whatever, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm calling to talk to you about Annie," and I'm like, "What the fuck is
Who?
Annie?" And they're like, "Well, they put you down as a reference," and I'm like, Annie?" And they're like, "Yeah, Annie." And they're like, "Do you know like an Annie?" I'm just like, and I'm like, "Oh, you mean Ani?" And I'm like, "A and I?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, Ani. Yeah, I know Ani." And I just kept saying your name, like making sure I was pronouncing it because she just kept saying Annie. And I'm like, Ani is great. And like, Ani. And it's just like,
I hope this
but
conversation is recorded.
and I'm just like, but the best part of it is for whatever reason, she was asking about the time Ani and I worked together at the job I was currently working in at a university in Florida, where Ani has definitely never worked before. And she's like, "Well, she has you down here as like a reference for when you worked at a university together." And I'm like, because I was telling her about support people because it's the only place we worked together. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was
That's when I worked at the
Castles
loan
and Poor People
department.
was just the first place we worked together, and that's where we worked together the longest. So I just assumed that's what you were referring to. But yeah, no, we worked at the university. I lied.